My name is Jennifer Ahern Koch, and this is Paula Summers here to help me out. I have been asked here to talk to you about administrative approval or administrative review. I am president of Tahiti Park Neighborhood Association, a little old Florida neighborhood on the North Trail, and I very happily served on the City of Sarasota's Planning Board for 6 consecutive years. And in those capacities, I have had the opportunity to work with the city staff, for whom I have tremendous amount of respect and regard. I want to make it clear that we are not here to criticize city staff, and we are not here to oppose development or progress. That is not our purpose. I'm going to do my best to explain administrative approval in a short period of time. It's pretty complicated with a lot of devils in the detail, but I will try to demystify it all. Can I have a show of hands of how many people are clear on how the view is approved? Okay, can I have a show of hands to see if everybody is clear in understanding administrative approval? Okay, 10 people, okay. Pure administrative approval basically equals no public input and no public process. It's not necessarily a bad process. It makes sense for smaller developments, and it can be useful for single-family homes or additions. It's less expensive and faster for the developer, but at what cost to the community? Keep going. Is it not working? And for larger projects like The View, or even smaller, but very intense projects like a convenience store or the Starbucks, it is not a productive or an inclusive process, especially when bordering on residential neighborhoods. And why? Because it excludes the very public it directly impacts, the surrounding neighborhood and the community. So there are 2 types of processes our city uses. One process I'm going to call the public process, which has an administrative element and a public element. And the second process I'm going to call pure administrative approval. Let's start with the public process and how it works for the basic development and site plan review. So first, under the public process, there are basically 6 steps. 3 which are administrative and closed to the public, and 3 steps in which the public can participate. Step 1, a developer goes to the city and files an application and pays a fee. This is a closed process. Step 2 is a pre-application meeting where the developer can meet informally with city staff to discuss the proposal, the views and concerns of the applicant. And this is also a closed process. Step 3 is Development Review Committee, or DRC meeting. This is where the city's departments review the project and check for compliance to zoning, planning, utilities, and technical functions. This is a very important process, and this is the 3rd closed process. I would just like to add that while this meeting allows the public to attend, you are not allowed to participate, speak, or comment. Engage with the developer and city staff to ask the questions and give comments. This is a problem-solving opportunity for all parties. This is part of the public process. Step 5 is a public hearing with the planning board, my favorite step. This is a formal public hearing where the city staff, the public, adjacent property owners, and businesses get to vet a project before it goes to the city commission. It's an opportunity to ask all of the questions and provide the city commissioners with the answers they need to make their informed decisions, which often must be based on competent, substantial evidence. In between the planning board and the city commission meeting is a problem-solving opportunity as a developer can offer proffers on a project. The developer can also meet with neighborhood associations to reach a compromise, and they can talk to staff and find solutions to projects' issues if necessary. Step 6 is a public hearing with the city commission. This public hearing is the public's opportunity to weigh in on the development, to support it, oppose it, or to propose solutions while directly appealing to their elected officials. And conversely, this is the opportunity for the city commissioners to hear the comments from their constituents pertaining to our city's development proposals before they vote on a project. So you can see that even though not every step of this process is public, there are quite a few opportunities for the public to be heard. Let's contrast this with the non-public, pure administrative approval process, which is basically 4 steps. Step 1, participate in, and with the city and with the staff and with the developer to make their comments clear. Okay, so the next one is the closed process. There you go, the administrative process. Step 1 is the file your application. Step 2 is the pre-application meeting, same as before. Step 3 is DRC, Development Review Committee, again, a closed process. Same as I mentioned earlier. Now, the next step that we had in the other process, the public process, step 4, step 5 and step 6. In this portion, there is no community workshop, there's no public hearing with the planning board, there's no public hearing with the city commission. So really, the last step is step 4. The application goes for final review by the Department of Neighborhood and Development Services, and this is a closed process. In this case of pure administrative approval, the Department of Neighborhood and Development Services is authorized to review and approve or deny plan applications for all the downtown zone districts and, among other things, some citywide proposals for new commercial developments. Essentially, if all of the boxes are checked off by the administration, the Department of Neighborhood and Development Services approves the project. It's a bit like a wheel. Each department is a spoke supporting the wheel. It is absolutely necessary as each department is looking at the project from their specific angle, like traffic, sewage, lighting, trees, zoning, etc. Each department looks to make sure the project complies with those specific regulations. And if each department checks off their box, then the Department of Neighborhood and Development Services approves the project. But who's looking at the bigger picture to see if this wheel can actually roll? To see if the project will fit into the community and into the neighborhood. And because the public cannot participate in the pure administrative process, the community, the public, the citizens do not get a spoke or a checkoff box. So to review, there are 2 processes, one which is public with an administrative component, and one which is pure administrative and does not include public sentiment. So why does this difference between public process and administrative approval matter? Let me give you an example using my neighborhood. Adjacent to my neighborhood, there's a piece of property which is about 8 acres. It's called the Yacht Center property, and it's located on the Whitaker Bayou in US 41. But 2 sides are directly bordering on our single-story, single-family historic neighborhood. In 2004, a proposal was submitted by the developer to build 2, you can go to the next one, 2 120-foot condos with 3 65-foot condos within spitting distance from a single-story, single-family homes. The project was reviewed by city staff and recommended for approval because they checked off the boxes. However, since this proposal triggered the public process, our neighborhood was allowed to voice our concern at the planning board meeting. The planning board voted to recommend denial to the city commission. And finally, the project was withdrawn before going to the city commission. The public process weeded out a non-compatible proposal. That would not have happened under the purely administrative process. Our neighborhood would not have had the opportunity to weigh in, and the result would have destroyed our neighborhood's character and our quality of life. We recently went through the public process again on that same property. The developer proposed a 5-story residential project with 157 units. More importantly, the developer listened to and addressed our neighborhood's concerns. This resulted in a project embraced by the community, by the developer, and our neighborhood. In the end, you get better quality projects for the whole community, and this is an example of the public process working. This is my favorite part. It's a quote from the developer, Jim Bridges. "We had the support of the neighborhood. I would have not gone forward with the project without that." There's one more aspect to administrative approval process that is essential to understanding the big picture and how the view is approved. I hope it's clear that the view was approved purely administratively, and that the City Commission had no opportunity to review or vote on the project. And I'm sure that you're asking, wait, a project that huge must have triggered the public process, like it did in your neighborhood. The simple answer is no, it did not trigger the public process, since the developer complied with all of the regulations, and they are located in the downtown Bayfront district. This is a map of the city of Sarasota, and this is a map of the city with the downtown districts extracted. This area along the Bayfront, the brown rectangle, represents the downtown districts, which have a downtown master plan area, meaning that all projects that comply with the downtown code are processed administratively because they are in that downtown area. There's no public process. Where is the view? It's in the downtown Bayfront district. What is the approval process? Administrative. The way it works now, and this is important, is that in 2003, like Kate stated, in the final stages of the approval of the downtown master plan, the city of Sarasota was pressured to add at last minute pure administrative approval to all of the downtown districts or the downtown master plan area, meaning that all of the development projects that comply with zoning regulations go through the pure administrative process. Unless the development asks for something extra, like increased density or more height, the whole project is reviewed administratively. The public does not even know the project is being proposed or reviewed until it is too late. Hence the view. The public did not get the opportunity to weigh in on it. It did not go before the planning board, and the city commissioners did not get to vote on it. So when you're stuck in traffic and angry, you don't have the privilege to blame the city commissioners. Your elected officials never even had the opportunity to approve or deny it. So who is to blame? I don't know. But I do know that the 13-year pure administrative approval experiment in our city is not working, and that the city is planning on potentially expanding this pure administrative approval process city-wide. It's going to be harder and harder for citizens to know which projects are being proposed or reviewed by city staff. It's going to be nearly impossible to participate or try to support or stop a project. Pure administrative approval alienates its citizens and fosters suspicion and doubt. Finally, there's much talk often about the taking of developers' rights. But I see the expansion of pure administrative approval as a taking of citizens' rights. Stop taking our right to be involved in our city. Stop taking our right to participate in shaping the development of our community. Stop taking away our right to speak and to state, for the record, that we support or oppose a project. Stop excluding the public, as it is a valuable missed opportunity to capture the citizens' unique knowledge of the area's fiber, texture, history, and essence. And finally, stop the 13-year administrative approval experiment. Thank you.